Hello everyone, I am Julian Morris with the Channel 5 News. In the headlines, Prime Minister Skerrit says Dominica has lost a true patriot and legendary Dominican in Felix Henderson. Dominica moves closer toward enacting juvenile justice reform legislation and the waste disposal in the city to get a facelift next year. The details coming up.
We are strong, we are resilient, and we will get through this together. But these are stressful times, and it's important to also practice good self-care. It's normal to feel overwhelmed, anxious, or afraid, but there is hope. Reach out to someone, connect with your friends, stay in touch with your community, and know that you are not alone. We're in this together. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
Flow helps you stay connected to what matters. Simple plans and a better network mean that you can enjoy 7 days of unlimited social messaging, 3 gigabytes of reliable data to use as you like, 700 local anywhere calls and texts with the always-on prepaid plan, all for $29. Keep your number when you switch to Dominica's most reliable LTE network. Buy wherever you top up. Switch to Flow. It only gets better.
Prime Minister Skerrit has expressed condolences to the family of the late Creole broadcaster Felix Henderson. Mr. Henderson, who had been sick for some time, died at the Dominica-China Friendship Hospital on Tuesday evening. In his message posted on his Facebook page, the Prime Minister says, and I quote, "I am saddened by news of the passing of Creole icon Felix Henderson. On behalf of the government and people of Dominica and my family, I extend deepest condolences to his wife and children, to his colleagues at DBS Radio, and to the entire media fraternity who mourn his passing." Felix Henderson was a champion of the Creole language who worked tirelessly to preserve this important aspect of our heritage, and a consummate professional who embodied the high ethics and spirit of media and communication in Dominica. The Prime Minister goes on to say he will be remembered for his witty advertisements known to all Dominicans, and also for the creation of the National Schools Reading Competition that would later be adopted at the OECS level. He says Felix Henderson was a true patriot, a legendary Dominican who leaves a lasting impact. He says his legacy will live on in the hearts and minds of every Dominican. He says may God bless and keep his family and friends during the period of bereavement. Meantime, government ministers have also released condolence messages on the passing of Mr. Felix Henderson. Senator the Honorable Oscar George is responsible for broadcasting.
I want to express deepest sympathies to the family and friends and also the wider Dominican population on the passing of our dear friend, Mr. Felix Henderson. Although it was common knowledge that Felix was very ill, but I'm sure that the information on his passing will always bring sadness to many. And at times like this, it's very important that we provide support to the friends and family of any deceased. Felix will definitely resonate as a Dominican hero for his significant contributions in the field of broadcasting, and in particular for the Creole art form, where he changed the mindset surrounding the language, especially in the rural areas around Dominica. Felix, as we know, had received many awards for his work in the Creole art form, and the humor which he brought to his commercials also made him quite popular, and I'm sure that his legacy will live on far into the future. Dominica has lost a very dedicated and committed individual who provided leadership at the community level and who was a true cultural icon. He will definitely go down in our history as someone who has shaped Dominica's culture and laid the platform for many generations to come. It is now left to the younger ones among us to continue his legacy. So I would like to say to his family, stay strong and keep the faith. I know that he is no longer with us, but trust me, he's in a better place where he will no longer suffer from illness. We do pray that God continues to watch over his family as they traverse this very difficult time.
The Minister for Education is remembering Felix Henderson for his contribution to education and to the improvement of literacy in Dominican schools. She says Henderson created the DBS Ministry of Education Courts Reading Competition to engender a love for reading among children.
It is with profound sadness that I express deepest sympathy To the family of Mr. Felix Henderson, firstly on behalf of the Ministry of Education, and secondly on behalf of my family. Felix Henderson was a sincere partner of the Ministry of Education. He was very concerned about the literacy level of our students, especially our boys. This led him to initiate the DBS reading competition, which grew to becoming a regional competition. On Wednesday, 20th October, I visited him at home because he wanted me to come to his home to see him, although we were in contact daily on the phone. We spoke about everything that day. So many things he wanted to tell me. He was just passionate about so many things. He wanted me to assure him that the efforts in reading at school and the Creole culture would continue among the children. He held my hands and he said, "Pakite Creole la mono, minister." He was passionate about Creole. I also had the opportunity to sit with his beloved wife. She's a strong person, and she was a great support to her husband, a very precious jewel, and I extend sincere sympathy to her. The Ministry of Education also expresses sympathy to Miss Grace Henderson, his daughter, who works at Wharton Waven Primary School. She looked after her dad so well and still found so much time to do so much at school. Miss Grace Henderson, God bless you. Felix and I also shared a spiritual fellowship. We encourage each other daily in the Word of God. Our anthem verse was Habakkuk 3, verse 17 and 18. Though the fig tree does not bud, and there are no grapes in the vine, though the olive crops fail, and the fields produce no food, though there are no sheep in the pen and no cattle in the stall, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will be joyful in God my Savior. The Bible says that there's a time for everything, and this is a time to mourn. But let us not sorrow like those who have no hope. Our beloved Felix is resting safely, peacefully in the arms of his Maker. Some things are just not going to be the same again. We will miss him. But we say, rest on our friend.
Felix Henderson was a strong proponent of passing on the Creole language to succeeding generations. He summed it all up when we spoke on Creole Day 2 years ago about the need for children to speak and write Creole.
Travail nous c'est pour déposer le langage là en la mélange génération. Nous faisons pile travail in the 80s 80 à monter mais gasam qui nous la djeboul la check côté. Parents pas faire ça yo supposé faire nous pas faire ça nous supposé faire bizarre nous supposé si qu'a parler créole. Quand nous dit yo quoi habiller bien belle en créole hard créole là, il ka manger créole là aussi manger créole là. Mais ça qui est important c'est le langage là aussi. Depuis yo parler créole là, vraiment quoi yo ça commencé ça à l'école. Ouais, peut-être officiellement il pas à l'école mais chaque teacher ça fait quelque chose. Vous comprenez pas 5 minutes. This is a come with a word or 2 words. Mais des mots créole. Ça veut dire you call you ti maman, you call you papa, you mama, you. And you can you what is that word? Ça qui mot ça là. Et you can venir expliquer en classe là. Comme ça les autres enfants qui apprennent, yo même que commencer à grandir vocabulaire yo que connaître plus mots créole. Comme ça nous ni pour faire quelque chose, nous pas ça quitter par chance. Si nous quitter par chance, nous que perdre ça nous fait tout ça nous gagner, tout ça nous tout bénéfice là nous fait, nous que perdre finalement si nous pas consolider, si nous pas ou ça vivre avec garder qu'on nous avec je ne crois c'est une opportunité pour faire ça. Je ne crois c'est une opportunité pour nous garder où là nous comment toujours a dit nous ca jouer puis créole là nous pas en servir créole là les nous vle nous pas vle autant ça nous a dit il y a des monde ça dit they didn't make me foolish when they don't know what they saying tibula là vous comprenez nous pas ça faire ça encore nous ni pour montrer ces enfants créole ni pour montrer yo puis là nous à l'aise yo qui continue courir puis créole là.
Felix was part of the Comité pour études Creole, CEC, which started Creole Day.
À nous parler créole là, à nous chaîne les vivants, à nous déposer en la main l'autre génération pour yo courir pays.
In other news now, Dominica closer to enacting of juvenile justice reform legislation, Andrea Louis has more.
The announcement by Minister for Youth Development and Empowerment and Youth at Risk, Dr. Addis King, as a 5-month campaign focusing attention on child justice was officially launched on Wednesday. The campaign is a collaborative effort between the Ministry of Youth Development and the Juvenile Justice Reform Project, a joint initiative between the OECS and USAID. This project aims to assist OECS countries reduce the involvement of children in crime and violence and help in legislative reform. Minister for Youth at Risk, Dr. Addis King, says government is committed to ensuring the pieces of legislation are enacted to benefit the country's youth.
The government of Dominica has and continues to harness resources to assist our children in becoming productive citizens. One such effort here in Dominica has been to enact modern legislation in order to have these select pieces of legislation respond more appropriately to current societal trends. I speak here of the OECS Harmonized Family Model Bills, 2 of which are the Children Care and Adoption Bill and the Child Justice Bill, which will better cater for children who are likely to infringe the laws of this state. Dominica is now closer to enactment of the family model bills.
Dr. King says restorative justice is also key in dealing with children who violate the laws of the land.
Restorative justice is an important aspect of the Child Justice Bill, which attempts to repair the harm caused by a crime. It is interesting to note that the OECS USA Juvenile Justice Reform Project in this cycle focuses on diversion, rehabilitation, and reintegration. One of the models for change initiative adopted by certain jurisdictions is diversion. This focuses on programs which seek to divert or redirect children away from juvenile justice systems, processing of matters, and also includes programs that divert children from detention in a juvenile justice facility.
The Minister for Youth at Risk is hopeful to see Dominica develop a formalized diversion system to better take care of the country's youth who are at risk of crossing paths with the law.
Let me emphasize that there are certain primary goals of the juvenile justice system. These include diversion, rehabilitation, addressing treatment needs, and successful reintegration of children back into the community. Dominica does not at this time have a formalized diversion system, but in my thinking, it is most desirable. Efforts are underway to have such a system. It is worth noting that pre-charge diversion is often coordinated by the police, while post-trial diversion operates based on directives by the court.
During the month of November, various practitioners will be targeted to raise awareness on the Child Justice Bill and associated matters. Andrea Louis, Channel 5 News.
Director of Surveys and Commissioner of Lands Marcus Lestrade says the over 60 families being relocated to facilitate the international airport are getting a pretty good deal. Some of these families own land while others own both land and house. Lestrade says the resettlement of the affected families in the Joe Burton area is a priority.
People who opt for land swap, we would allocate the lands to them and they would have the option to build their own house, or if they choose for us, we build. But most of the lots that we are giving those who opt for the land swaps are, for example, almost 3 times the size of the existing lots. And some of those lots, in most instances, we don't give value for value. We just give land. We just give, for example, some of the landowners who have 3,000 square feet, most of them will benefit from a lot that's about 8,000 to 9,000 square feet. And the reason for that was, as you know, the Westie people, a lot of them do backyard gardening. So allowance was made for most of those lots of the people being relocated to do backyard garden. We have prepared a subdivision plan. With an original amount of 52 residential lots. These lots range from 7,000 square feet to some of them 11,000 square feet. There's another section with lots which range from 4,000 to 5,000 square feet.
You are watching Channel 5 News. We'll have more after this.
A new in-home experience is here. All your services bundled into one simple plan. Faster, more reliable Wi-Fi so that you can binge, play, and stream uninterrupted. Unlimited flow local landline minutes mean you can talk and talk and talk. Plus the best in TV entertainment with over 120 channels and 29 in HD. All for $160 a month with the new all-in bundle. With Flow, it only gets better.
We are strong, we are resilient, and we will get through this together. But these are stressful times, and it's important to also practice good self-care. It's normal to feel overwhelmed, anxious, or afraid. But there is hope. Reach out to someone, connect with your friends, stay in touch with your community, and know that you are not alone. We're in this together. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
The Barbados-based charity has promised to continue working with Dominica for the people to benefit from substantial development projects. This pledge from the Maria Holder Memorial Trust, a charity foundation under whose funding and direction the renovation of 6 primary schools were completed, namely Roseau, Wharton Waven, Warner, Bells, Concord and the Trafalgar primary schools. This project took 2 years to reach completion, and consultant with the Maria Holder Memorial Trust, Jane Armstrong, says the trust is committed to continuing work on projects in Dominica for the betterment of the youth and the education sector.
Although this school is the last in this particular project, this is not the end of our work here by any means. We have recently started a brand new community centre and pre-K school at Yampiece in Roseau, and we are also hoping to soon take on a major project to refurbish the youth community centre at Marigot. I hope very much that there will be many more substantial projects for Dominica in the future.
Armstrong, who travelled from Barbados to Dominica for the official handing over of the recently refurbished Wharton Waven Primary School, says the two countries have done well in handling the COVID-19 pandemic, which has had a severe impact on so many countries.
You know, this has been such a challenging year for everyone all over the world. We've had to cope with very scary and difficult times, and none of us have been immune from some impact from the pandemic that we're all suffering from. But I think both Dominica and Barbados have handled the COVID crisis really well, and here I am able to travel to Dominica for this event.
An upgrade to the method of waste disposal in the city of Roseau by early next year. Andrea Louis explains.
This as the Dominica Solid Waste Management Corporation seeks to be more efficient in the disposal of waste, as well as encourage Dominicans to dispose of their garbage properly. General Manager of the Dominica Solid Waste Management Corporation, Florian Mitchell, says a new type of bin is due to be introduced to the city of Roseau to better assist with proper waste disposal. Mitchell pointed out that the current green bins which exist in the city are not being utilized as intended.
If you notice around the city, we have some green bins that is basically for the purpose of litter reduction. Yes, in the inception, the bin served its purpose, but we need to go another step higher. And what we'd like to do, well, what the project is seeking to achieve is that we'd have another bin in the city that you could separate your stuff. So you could put your glass in one section, you could put your paper in another section, and you put general waste in another section. And if you notice the bins that we have in the city, it is prone to abuse. I mean, we've seen people basically drove their vehicles into it. We see stray dogs pulling out stuff from there. We see vagrants abusing it. We see people who have commercial businesses who take their garbage and put inside of those bins. But the bins are litter bins by nature, not a receptacle for your residential waste or your waste from your commercial entity.
The reduction of litter within the Roseau City Centre project is being funded by the OECS Secretariat and will bring new enhanced bins to Roseau.
So we are seeking to improve on the bins. So the area would be smaller, so you could only push your thumb or your hands to just drop your glass or your can or whatever litter that you may have. And we're seeking again support from the Discover Dominica Authority. We've had discussion with Mr. Piper on helping us to do promotion. So it's not just a solid waste activity, and that will help us reduce on the level of litter in the city. And you would see a nicer, cleaner bin within the city. The request for proposal has gone out in terms of the bins. OECS, we've sent them all these specs, so they are basically seeking quotation from suitable entities that could supply the bins. So once that is done, we should be able to implement the bins probably in the first quarter of 2021.
Flow helps you stay connected to what matters. Simple plans and a better network mean that you can enjoy 7 days of unlimited social messaging, 3 gigabytes of reliable data to use as you like, 700 local anywhere calls and texts with the always-on prepaid plan, all for $29. Keep your number when you switch to Dominica's most reliable LTE network. Buy wherever you top up. Switch to Flow. It only gets better.
We are strong, we are resilient, and we will get through this together. But these are stressful times, and it's important to also practice good self-care. It's normal to feel overwhelmed, anxious, or afraid, but there is hope. Reach out to someone, connect with your friends, stay in touch with your community, and know that you are not alone. We're in this together. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
A new in-home experience is here. All your services bundled into one simple plan. Faster, more reliable Wi-Fi so that you can binge, play, and stream uninterrupted. Unlimited Flow local landline minutes mean you can talk and talk and talk. Plus the best in TV entertainment with over 120 channels and 29 in HD, all for $160 a month with the new all-in bundle. With Flow, it only gets better.
To end the news, a look again at the headlines. Prime Minister Skerrit says Dominica has lost a true patriot and legendary Dominican in Felix Henderson. Dominica moves closer toward enacting juvenile justice reform legislation and waste disposal in the city to get a facelift next year. You may access the news on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the production team, I am Julian Morris. Thank you for watching. Join us tomorrow.